War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast with myself, Kyle Loomis, and my co-host, Austin Scott. Austin, welcome back.
Thanks, War Eagle, everybody. Excited to be back and game day on the plains, game day period back, I guess I should say.
Yes.
Glad they're back home, period, too, as well. So, yeah, good weekend to have the team back, have a bunch of people back in town.
It was absolutely. So we're not recording just yet, folks. We'll bring up a marker down below for those of you that may be new to the process here on Sunday nights. But in about 5 minutes here, we'll get started to record the show, and during which point we probably won't take a lot of comments and questions, but we will be talking about some particular topics tonight of pretty good interest tonight, even with the way the football team's going. Like Austin said, I, for one, even though the game wasn't great, result wasn't great, and nothing's great right now, I thoroughly enjoyed being back on the Love This Village on the Plains, because it's all about the whole experience. That's what this whole show's about, man.
That's right. Yeah, it was a good week, good weather.
Yeah.
Early morning started out really chilly, and I was concerned, but the sun came out, warmed up a little bit, and yeah, it was a great weekend. Now, Kyle, where did you sit this week? I saw you did get caught
With Auburn Elvis.
with Auburn
Yes.
Elvis. Yes.
Yes. He was my wonderfully amazing, generous person to give me a ticket to the game. So I sat with him and we hung out and watched the game. And I sat there the entire time, was like, I think I've made it the entire time without getting caught on camera with Elvis, because, I mean, it's Elvis. He's in a white get-up suit
Of course,
with,
yeah.
everybody in Navy pretty much, and it sticks out a little bit. And so I was like,
Yeah.
well, we're going to be on camera a lot today. Nope. But it was the Auburn Like a News that got me. They're the ones that, I think Adam Sparks, the photographer for there, is the one that got me.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
obviously he wasn't shooting for me like he was shooting for Elvis, but like, it's still like, dang it, I nearly made it the entire way without being caught on camera. And here I'm just glad it wasn't one of those like Surrender Cobra things, or
Oh, yeah. You looked like y'all were just having an insightful conversation. As much as you can look like you're having an insightful conversation with the
right.
man versus
Yeah.
Elvis. Yeah.
He said it, and I'm wondering too, like, when was that actually filmed, or that photo
Good.
taken?
Yeah.
Because it's pretty empty behind us, so it must have been early in the game. Because I know, yes, we all know it emptied out by the end of the game, rightfully so, I think. But you know, it's kind of weird just trying to figure out when that
Mhm.
picture was actually taken. As you guys come into the stream, please do make sure that you smash that like button, and then post a comment or question for the next couple minutes here, and then we'll get started, and then let people know that you're live. Share it out on social media. This is an exclusive thing on YouTube that we do. We don't put it out on Twitter and Facebook like we do everything else. So we want to make sure that we share people there that we're live tonight. Austin, you got a comment here.
Yeah,
Great
thanks, Brian.
t-shirt.
I think so. I need to look. I can't. If this has a Whataburger on the back, which I think it does.
Is it the Cannon Burger thing, or
I
the
think
what?
it was. I want to say this was a basketball game like a couple years ago, but
Mhm.
I'm sure it's the same one they shoot out at football. But one of my most athletic moments in my career, I think I just one-handed snagged that thing from a
Nice.
cheerleader. I felt really good. This is the only
Yeah.
one I've ever caught, and it was actually like a decent size. Sometimes they're like 3XLs, and I'm like, I'm never using that.
Yeah. Auburn Elvis is going around personally thanking members of the football team. Well, I think we all should if we could, but like, I don't know if he's got more time than I do to go individually, like, but here, we'll probably save it for some of the discussion in the What's Hot segment. But, I was very pleased with some of the behavior, especially in the stands, at the end of the game. That was very surprising to me, because I thought there would be a different type of behavior that was going to cause Kyle to lose his mind and start yelling at people. I think probably people heard me say that out loud a couple of times while I was in the stands, and that deterred anybody sitting. Well, to be frank, there wasn't many people sitting near us by the end of it. But hey, it is what it is. Not a great game, but happy to be back on the plains, because it's always great to be there in great football weather. It was very chilly. How early did you get out there, Austin?
Let's see. We parked at about 9 maybe
Okay.
and walked to Chick-fil-A, had our morning sustenance,
Mm,
and then we were probably in the stadium 45 minutes till kickoff, so
okay.
10:15-ish. So
You
it
yeah.
was windy, a little windy and chilly. So
I hit campus about 7:30, and it was quite chilly with the
oh, I
wind
bet.
and that time of day, but it's I love getting out there that early before the hubbub gets started because,
Yeah.
it's just good stuff. All right, we are right at 5 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. Again, just as a reminder, we'll put the, banner up right here that this is the recording for the podcast, during which we may not answer or address your comments and questions, but please do interact with each other. We will try to monitor, though, in case we get any shenanigans like we get sometimes from, we'll call them adult, you know, adult sites sometimes that like to spam the accounts and things like that. Apologize for that. I wish I could like find all of them and just like
Oh,
nuke
yeah.
their call centers, like, just get rid of them. They're now probably like, all right, he said something about us. Come go get his chat right
Yeah.
now.
They're the
All
worst.
right. Yeah, they are the worst. They really are. And that's saying something because we've seen the worst of a lot of things at certain points during this football season. All right. With that being said, we will enter the, the show right now and get this thing going right now in 3, 2, 1. David Housel said it best: the whole of the Auburn experience. Yes, it involves so many great things with athletics and so many not great things as well. Times that are not so great right now with the football team that is trying to find its way in the world. But it involves other great things like a volleyball team that's had a pretty good season thus far. It does things outside of football. It involves people at the university with academics, outside the university, in the community, and beyond. Whether you are a person with a local Auburn business that has that little Auburn insignia posted somewhere on your wall, just making sure everybody knows, especially the Bamers, when they walk in there, that you're part of the Auburn experience. We appreciate you being here and being part of our little family within the Auburn family. This is the Auburn Experience podcast with myself, Kyle, your host, alongside my co-host, Mr. Austin Scott, who I welcome back because it's always better with members of the Auburn family. How are you doing, Austin?
Hey, man. War Eagle Kyle. Thanks for having me again. Always great to spend time on the plains, and it was another home game weekend. So that Auburn experience kind of manifests itself a little bit further every time we got a home game and people come back to the plains. It definitely did that this weekend on a nice, crisp October day. And
Absolutely.
episode 10, we made it to double digits, my friend.
I didn't even address it. Yeah, this is episode 10. I can't believe that we made it here.
I
Um,
know it's shocking when you think about how this started and how we didn't know what we were doing. Really, we were just running with it to talk about the Auburn experience, and it's turned into a nice little debrief every
mhm.
Sunday
Therapy.
after whatever goes on Saturday and throughout the rest of the week. So yeah, therapy is a good word for it. But 10 episodes in, and I'm feeling good.
The funny thing about that is I've been doing podcasting either as a hobby or as a profession for 9 years, I think now. I think it'll be 9 years in January. And there's something about that 10 episode mark that I feel like if you make it to that, you've found yourself at least somewhat committed to this. I've seen Auburn podcasts, but just general podcasts come and go because they never hit 10. You got to really love talking about these things. And I hope that's what you guys enjoy about the Auburn experience. And maybe it's what you hate about it too, to quote another show. The things that you know where I'm going with this, Austin. The thing that
I
you love
do.
and the things you hate about what we're trying to do here is we'll talk about anything. And that may be like, well, why are they talking about football all the time? Well, because it's much deeper than football. And let's be honest, folks, we've got enough of that going on right now, especially on social media, which will be one of the topics today about strife amongst the Auburn family. Because it's not all roses and cherries and puppy dog tails, right, Austin? It gets a little testy from time to time.
It gets a little testy, and we don't all love it. It's not always the most fun thing. I think there is part of it that speaks to it all stems from the same passion we have, and that's the good
Yep.
thing to remember is that there's a common denominator of we all want Auburn to succeed. We all care about Auburn. It's okay to have differences in that, and sometimes we can make some fun of that, and we'll try and do that here in a little bit.
We're gonna have fun with that tonight. I think we'll have a good time with it. And we also on tonight we're gonna be in our two major topics hitting a sport that everybody is excited about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't even have to mention it, but we'll get to that at some point. But we kind of like to just riff off here at the beginning and talk about what's on our mind, what's really hot in the Auburn family spectrum. Obviously, right now, a lot of focus is centralized around not just the football program and their struggles and the coaching situation, but the athletic director. And there was a lot of movement and noise this past week. And maybe by the time that you are listening to this show, if you're not listening to the live recording and you've found it later in the week, you already know there's been an athletic director name potentially. But at this moment, there's a lot of speculation about it. So we're not going to spend tonight on it a lot because there's not a lot of concrete details other than sources say to talk about. But I mean, I guess, Austin, if you just kind of had to give an overview of your thoughts or opinions or just anything that you wanted to share about the AD search right now, and we'll obviously talk about it more on a future episode.
Yeah, I think the biggest question we're all wondering is when are they going to name Kyle Loomis as the next Auburn athletic director? I mean, it's been days and months now since Alan Green
When
resigned,
they
and
give me money that I've been asking for, that's why.
I
I'm sorry.
no, I'm just kidding. That was something we did talk about in our E2C chat this week. Is when is Kyle going to be named? I don't. My sources say it's not going to be Kyle Loomis. And
Well,
so
you got
we'll
the wrong
find out.
sources then, sir. I don't know what you're talking about.
This would be a great place to break it if you want to tell us you are the next AD.
Breaking news live on the show. Kyle Loomis named Auburn athletic director. His first action, bringing back Gus Malzahn. And I just caused half the audience heads to explode.
On that note, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, what was it in the middle of the first quarter? All these, I think it was Pete Thamel broke it first. All these people start talking that John Cohen, the current athletic director at Mississippi State, is going to be the next AD at Auburn, and or that advanced talks are happening. And it just took on a world of its own at that point. And so nothing as of where are we right now? As of 8:17 Central Time, nothing is official. John Cohen is not the athletic director at Auburn unless someone tells us in the next 30 minutes. He will likely not be by the end of this episode. So, who knows?
Can I just stop you
questions.
there, Austin? You just jinxed
Sure.
this because the amount of times things break on a live stream, because again, I've said it once already. We are recording this live on YouTube for those folks. If you're listening on the main podcast stream, things happen on our live streams all the time. Commitments, decommitments, firings. Like I've had the amount of times I've had to change the direction of a show. We won't change this direction. Well, maybe we will. I don't know. We both just jinxed us at this point. So just expect it in the next 30 minutes. Auburn's AD will be announced, and it's not me. I promise.
That'd be quite a move by the Auburn communications staff to break the AD hiring past 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern on a Sunday night. But hey, crazier things have happened. All that said, who knows?
Right.
I think we'll hear more and more throughout the week, if not a public naming at some point. But there definitely sounds like we're headed toward the final stages
Yep.
of Auburn finally getting an athletic director. Will that mean more changes in other departments? Who knows? But yeah, it definitely got everybody in a ruse yesterday, and depending on what you believe, that might have been the goal of some people, and Auburn definitely got talked about in the public eye once again.
Yeah, I just wish we were in the public eye for good reasons. As of
It'd be
late,
nice.
in the football realm, we're
That's right.
in good standing in a lot of other areas, especially one coming up that we're going to hit a little bit later in the podcast. But yeah, that's obviously the hot news around Auburn right now. And we will address that further when we get concrete details about that. So maybe next episode is what we're going to hit on that, and around that as well, the whole coaching situation. I think we all can look at it and say this is probably only a matter of time. I think a lot of people have been able to say that for quite some time. It is frustrating to continue to watch the team struggle in all facets, and we all have different ways of expressing that. some more productive than others. I hope that people that came to Auburn and those of you that showed out really enjoyed being back on campus for the whole experience of it, because I enjoyed the heck out of it. I listened to that homecoming video like on repeat the entire way down. I still get a little choked up, little lump in my throat every time I watch and listen to that. And it's been probably 1,000 times through a playlist right now. It's good stuff. It really is. I give the Auburn, the War Eagle Productions crew credit for making a grown man cry once again. Just well played on all accounts. I really did have a great weekend though, and it sounds like you did too.
No, absolutely. It was, October football on the plains is one of my favorite things in the whole world, and I hate we only got one this year. There's been years where we didn't get any, and so um, it was awesome. Outside of the win, outside of the I almost said outside of the win, outside of the
Whoa!
game.
Now, listen, we can't be
That's
talking about wins right now. That is not
yeah.
happening.
Outside of the on-field display, it was a great weekend. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next one. Now it looks like I think if I remember correctly, we'll get them home away here for a little while. So
I think it's
a little
actually
more regular.
away, home, away is how we end it. If you think
Oh, we've
about it,
only
so
got four left. You're right.
we've
Yeah,
only
yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
So for those of you that are lamenting about Auburn football, I wish it was over. Don't wish that, because it's going to be over soon. Listen, bad Auburn football is still Auburn football, and I love it's when it's Auburn football season, because we almost didn't have it. I've said it 1,000 times here. So enjoy it while you got it, folks. That's all that needs to
Truth.
be said. Let's move to topic number 2 on the night. And this one will probably raise the bristles on certain people's neck. We're going to try to have some fun with it, though, and just talk about this concept that has arisen, I think, primarily, Austin, on social media. And maybe some around the water coolers and message boards too, I guess, is probably those type of situations. A lot of discussion, especially on the Twitter sphere, about an Auburn civil war that has broken out. And it's funny. I feel like this has happened before. Do you, Austin, that we've gone through these civil wars before where everybody chooses a side and fights each other on it? So it's
Oh yeah.
interesting that
I
this feels
mean,
novel.
no, Auburn Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I commend
Don't
you
be.
just because. Yeah, just stay off. It's just such an interesting place, and the best thing someone ever showed me about Twitter is it was a meme, and it's got Instagram, and it says, "This is where we come to look nice and put together and all pretty." Another issue with social media in itself. And then there was Facebook, and it's like, "This is where we come to be with our family and show our grandparents what we're doing." And Twitter was like, "This is where we come to just do stuff that we shouldn't be doing." That's exactly what Twitter is. It's just a mess, and the Auburn faction of it has just gotten out of control, I feel. And good parts and bad parts. We all know about all the memes after basketball wins
Yes,
and
good
all
stuff.
and losses and all that comes with that. And that is a fun part and a uniting force with the Auburn fan base on Twitter. But yeah, it can be a place where people are not afraid to express their own opinions behind the keyboards, and people are not afraid to get at each other's throats about anything and everything. And
Yep.
so I think what we're going to get into is nothing like super serious about it, but we've seen some things on Twitter that look pretty entertaining to think about if you want to divide up into factions. This isn't
It is.
factions on,
Yeah.
oh, hire Harson or keep Harson or fire him. There's some more fun factions out there, Kyle.
It's really funny. So I will give credit where credit is due. I'm going to say this live here, obviously on the recording, but in the podcast as well. I do not recommend this Twitter account, because there are times that I've had to just kind of silence them. No offense. I am Barning hard, but I can appreciate the good things that sometimes come out of even bad situations. So I apologize if that offends you. I am Barning hard. I'm just being honest. Because there are good and bad things that come out of anonymous Twitter accounts, and sometimes that happens over here. But to give them credit, what they tweeted out were the different groupings or factions of the Civil War. And the funny thing about this is, Austin, is that a Civil War, when you normally think about it, obviously the American Civil War, there's two sides.
Right.
But really, And there's truth in this tweet from I Am Barning Hard. The fact that there are so many different factions that could potentially like go to war with each other. And I find it absolutely hilarious. When I saw this, I kind of just burst out laughing. Let's look at some of them. We'll have to be careful with some of these, I feel like, because I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
everybody's touchy-feely these days. So this is all in fun, folks. If you get your feelings hurt, just don't.
It's
That's all I'm gonna
just
say.
lighthearted. It's just
Just
lighthearted,
let's
fun.
let's start with this one. This is number one on his list. Woke Auburn Twitter it's not Twitter, it's Twitter. That one comes out obviously during political high
Mhm.
points, which we're kind of in one right now with election season. So I'm
Sure.
surprised that one hasn't been thrust to the forefront. Here's the funny thing.
Give it time. Give it
Give
time.
it time. It's everything else is taking over the. Do you know who's probably woke Twitter is waiting for their time to kind of restart their version of the Civil War? They're trying to find something else for Coach Senator Tommy Tuberville to get mad about again.
Oh, yeah, yeah, and it doesn't yeah, I mean, that's it. Once Coach Tuberville was elected, that was an easy target,
Oh, it's
an easy pushback for them, so, woke Auburn Twitter, I definitely can think of a few accounts, I'm not naming them,
no.
and that
I've already gave one name out tonight.
yeah, but I definitely think of I'm trying to think of instances I've seen that faction on full display. And I definitely can think of some accounts where I'm like, yeah, that's where I would if we're drawing a big not oval, a big circle with a like a what do you call a pie chart. I'm thinking
Yes.
of people I'm putting in woke Twitter.
Woke Twitter is a good one. Here's the next one. Did the eagle fly good Twitter? This is
I
that was one
love
of my
this one.
favorites. Yes,
Yes,
that
I
was
love
the
that one.
is there actually a Twitter account that asks the question? Because you've got those ones that do the one thing one time each week. Like, I think there's the weekend one where it's Daniel Craig posting, ladies and gentlemen, the weekend every Friday. Like, is
Friday.
there one out there for that?
Well, I'm not sure. If there isn't, there should be. But there's ones like that where it's like I know one that I saw and we talked about on this podcast a couple weeks ago has Tennessee beaten Alabama, and it was like last week or 2 weeks ago. Whenever it was like that had been their moment they've been waiting for because they finally got to post yes. And so I don't know if there is an Eagle one. I know there's a beat writer who makes sure to say the Eagle flew good or the Eagle flew gooder today or every week when it
I,
happens.
I'm trying to
That'd be
think
our
of who that is.
Auburn Observer friend Justin Ferguson.
That sounds
Um,
about right. Honestly,
I
I think, yeah,
it's just one of those things during the game I scroll and I see it and it just makes me
chuckle.
chuckle and then keep
Mhm.
going. But I like that one a lot. I think that's one of my favorites of the group.
Let's roll through this one. This one can again not trying to pick on anybody. The Auburn beat writers. I mean,
Oh yeah,
that's like a big one right there because it's easy to lump them together, right? I
yeah,
don't think they all lump themselves together. At least not maybe not some of them, but I don't know how you divide that out even further. But it's you can see why the correlation is there, especially yesterday. There seemed to be a lot of camaraderie during the press conference, or well, waiting and during the
yeah.
press conference amongst themselves. So there was kind of that as well, which was really, really funny at times to watch. I don't really want to get into it because this is supposed to be lighthearted,
Sure.
but
I
that's
think
one
they
that you can really see.
yeah, I think and we've had several who I think are good at their jobs that have been around Auburn for a while, and so I think they've all gotten to know each other pretty well, and fair enough, they spend a whole lot of time together, I'm sure,
Yep.
on the job. So yeah, that one was one where I was like, you got to include that one.
I'm gonna skip down to one real quick because we may not have time to hit all of these because we love the guy so much. Clint Richardson, alternate uniform Twitter. That was
That
a good one. That was a
this is
really good one.
where I saw this tweet, and it was because Clint quote tweeted it with a picture. If everyone can just close your eyes and envision the painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware River in the Revolutionary War. But instead of George Washington's face, you have the Auburn Uniform Database logo over his face, and the American flag has been replaced with an orange jersey, I believe. And
It's good
so
stuff.
it's
It's good
it's
stuff.
just like that one was great because I think that's one where you've got the most amount of soldiers in it. Everybody loves talking about the alternate uniforms, no matter if you're for it, you're against it, if it's absolutely ridiculous, or if it's even something just the smallest tweak like face masks. And so that's one where I think Clint's probably got the most amount of soldiers in his army on that one.
Clint has been trying and working me so hard to be part of alternate uniform Twitter. But I'm here to tell you today, Clint Richardson, that I am going to be the faction that fights against you, sir. So I'm declaring a civil war today over me, an old crotchety man who hates change, loves nostalgia. I will fight you. I will garner up a garrison from the bowels of Twitter that we will never, ever relent on. The uniform should never change, and we will fight you, sir. So
Now
that is
we've
my
got now we've got civil wars within the civil war, which
this,
is exactly how I would describe Auburn Twitter to someone
which
else that didn't
which
know.
which is the great thing. The crazy thing is that I hang out with Clint a lot when I go to Auburn, so this will get really awkward when the two generals are meeting up with each other. So that get awkward. All right, real quick, we're running out of time on this segment, but Harsin backed. We almost beat Bama in overtime. Twitter, that's a good one too. That's a good one. I wasn't wrong. I just changed my mind. Twitter.
That's a big one.
That's a big. There's also another one, a sub Twitter version within that I'd love to like dive further into, but we don't have the time for it today. And the one that I probably should be the banner holder for, the Malzahn lovers Twitter.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm. Can I add one to it
Sure.
this is the one probably I will gladly claim just because I know it'll infuriate people. The Sunshine Pumpers Twitter. Sign me up. I will be
That's
your captain.
yes, that's one that I think would have a lot of people in it, but also would I mean, that's the buzzword. That's what everyone loves to bring up and would take a lot of fire. Good for them though. They'd be happy because I mean that's the Sunshine Pumpers.
Listen, I've never understood why you think it's an insult to call someone overly positive. Yeah, there can be bad things being overly positive, but I would much rather be that than the alternative. So
Sure.
just that's the one I would wear with pride, and then also declare war on the alternate uniform Twitter. That's just kind of the enemies I'm trying to make tonight.
It's a good concept, and it's one that I think a lot of people enjoyed having fun with and thinking about. I'd be interested to see if there's any others we haven't thought of. So maybe some people can hit us up if you're part of one that you know you're in, or if there's one that you notice that we didn't mention or that I am Barney Hard didn't mention. So like you said, props to him for coming up with that.
I just realized we had a volleyball team Twitter. That's probably one now.
Mm, yeah,
That's probably
there
another
you
one.
go.
If you got any suggestions, share them out with us on social media. But obviously, we wanted to talk about the quote unquote Auburn Civil War and just have a little fun with it because it was a pretty interesting concept. So, good job by Barning Hard, the Twitter account there. You follow at your own risk. But that was a really good one that I saw out there. So, I wanted to give credit where credit was due. Let's talk about our third topic on the night. One that I think there will be no disagreements about. Well, I say that, and then I just realized that we're part of the Auburn family, and there will always be disagreements.
Always.
The basketball team or basketball season in general is starting, but obviously the majority of people, when we talk about their minds go to who? Austin Scott. And
Oh, I'm sorry.
Austin left
No.
me hanging. Bruce
I thought
Pearl.
you yes,
Wow.
I thought who was the beginning of a question that you were starting.
Austin just
I'm
left me
sorry.
hanging live on the air, and I've never in my life felt more left alone out here. It
Bruce
was
Pearl.
like I was
Bruce
hanging out over a
Pearl.
ledge, and he was the guy holding the only lifeline left, and just like let it go slack as I fell to my death. Thank you for that.
I was sitting here, I was like, "Oh, man, what question is he about to ask me? Is he gonna ask me who is gonna be the starters? Who do we play first?" So, no, I overthought it. Bruce Pearl, and we're pumped because he's reloaded, and we got an exhibition game on Wednesday night that we're gonna see how his reloaded team comes out. And, I hadn't thought about this till just now. It's Wednesday night. I believe we play the University of Alabama at Huntsville in an exhibition game.
Mhm.
That means it's meme season.
It
Meme
is.
memes are ready to go Wednesday night. We do not take exhibitions off. this is your chance to get ready too. You know, like the team is going to play together against another opponent publicly for the first time. They're going to be working out the kinks. This is your chance to work out the kinks, fire up the what did we call deep fried meme machine,
Yes.
and
Laser eyes.
get the laser eyes out off the top shelf, and it's time to go. And so I'm pumped for all the things surrounding Auburn basketball.
One of the great things from last year's series of content that we did is we did an interview with Auburn Memes. I know the individual's name, but I'm not at liberty to share that. I don't know if he publicly shares that, but Auburn Memes, obviously being the champion of such things, had a great conversation with how this all evolved and how to actually do a good meme. And he gives
Yeah.
some really good, but also obviously very basic things to do. Fire up or fry them up. There's like apps
Hmm.
that you can do that on, websites you can do it. I do them all the time. He insists upon laser eyes, maybe not always laser beams, but at least the laser eyes, and then a good, obviously, caption below that if you can do. And there are other things you
Right.
can do, put little clip art things in there, stuff like I see people get way overblown with them sometimes. I'm like, how do you find the time? Like, it takes long enough for me to fry it, put the laser eyes in, put the caption in, and put it out on social media. Where did you find the time to do that?
Oh yeah. I spent way too much time on a couple last year. That I shouldn't have. I wasted so much time doing it, but I took pride in it. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted mine to be seen as we were scrolling or get some notoriety, and so yeah. I mean, it's time to go. We've been doing this a year now, and so people are going to be ready, and we've got certainly got new content to use.
Oh
I
boy.
have no doubt there will be plenty of recent things being used, recent
Yes.
Auburn events being used, uh, no matter the sport. And so I'm excited, and it's going to be good. I really think I'm just as excited to see all the new stuff in the memes as I am the games. And
Yeah.
this topic was not supposed to be about Auburn memes, but
But it's part of
uh,
the basketball
it is.
culture. So
It 100% is.
yeah. So listen, we're not really trying to do a season preview here. We've got a podcast separate of this, the Inside the Jungle podcast with um, Jace Phillips and Chandler Fullman. Good luck to you listening to Chandler Fullman. I love you, Chandler. Yeah. They have a little bit of a preview of sorts they just put out last Friday. Go listen to that. We here at E2C Network YouTube channel are going to be covering pretty much every game live. I want to say 100%, but I can't predict the future. There's obviously going to be a chance I might miss one. Post game shows, analysis of things that happen. I may even do the best memes from each game video that I did last year. Some people seem to enjoy that. So we'll see what all gets out there. There's going to be plenty of basketball coverage here. But I just want to give Austin the opportunity because my feeling is we're going to be talking about a lot of other different things, especially maybe next episode because of what may be coming. Um, Kind of looking ahead basketball wise, what do you anticipate? Maybe not even a prediction or anything like that, but just where is your mind at with this basketball team? What is your outlook for the season?
Sure. Yeah. I think the thing I'm most excited to see, and it's probably, pretty easy to say, but, where does Auburn get the most, what's the word? Where does Auburn get the most, help me, Kyle, uh, the most reproduction or find their production out with Jabari and Walker gone? Where do
Oh, got you,
they
got you.
go to? Yeah, I'm blanking on a word.
Who
I'm
is
sorry.
who is going to be their go-to guys, their scorers, their big time scorers?
Where does that production level fill, after that big those 2 big losses? And I don't think it'd be unfair to tell Janai Broome and Yohan Treo and Chance Weststreet to say, "All right, you're the new guys. So some of you have to act like the number 3 should have been number 1 overall pick and a guy starting for the Utah Jazz now." And so that I think how we're going to see Bruce Pearl, who's an incredible coach, and I think we don't give him enough credit for that sometimes. We just think, oh, he gets these talented guys and puts them all together. I
Mhm.
think we're going to really see how Bruce Pearl takes the talents that Auburn has and develops them more and puts them in the right positions to be able to be successful. And so I'm really interested to see how that works. There's going to be kinks worked out Wednesday night. Like that's exactly why you have an exhibition.
Right.
I was there when Auburn lost to Berry College in like overtime in the
Barry.
exhibition Oh, by the
Please
way,
don't bring that name up.
they went to the Final Four that year. Like, so it'll be okay. But I'm really interested to see how all the newcomers gel. I'm definitely interested to see how Wendell Green, KD Johnson, and Zep Jasper have taken that next step as the guards. Those three guys, for whether they should have or not, is up for debate. Caught a lot of flack toward the end of the year on decision making, and but Auburn's not where they are all throughout last year without those guys. So I'm excited for them to see it take a leadership position moving forward. And man, it's just gonna be so fun. It's gonna be
It
so
is.
fun, and it has been so fun for the last few years with the jungle. I know it. I mean, for a UAH exhibition game, the jungle is going to be in full force on Wednesday night, and I think about the freshman class that has seen it on TV and heard about the jungle and heard about camping out. And they're going to go to their first Auburn basketball game in the jungle on Wednesday night. And they're
Mhm.
probably going to have to wait in line for a couple hours on a November night that's going to be cold. But that's what you
Yep.
sign up for now. And so it's going to be really awesome. I'm pumped and I can't wait.
My biggest thing for this season, well, it's not the biggest thing, but just thing that's on top of my mind since we're not really getting high level basketball talk right now, just kind of just thinking about this is how hard it's going to be to get into a game this year for a reasonable price. And
Mm,
that's a good thing, right? That's where
sure.
we've come from. We came from, they had to, do promotions to get you to come to the games. Get a ticket with, Toys for Tot donation. Like I remember those
Right.
days, which great to do that, but you know, uh, that kind of says something about your program, to be honest with you. So I am hoping that there will be some reasonably priced tickets somewhere. You may have to go to an away game to find a reasonably priced ticket, but even those now, like Athens, I think are already going for like hundreds of dollars just to get into the Georgia Auburn matchup there. Probably same for Tuscaloosa as well. Here's my call out to people. If the students, I'm not worried about, they're going to be there. They're like, those are coveted spaces now, even in their off weeks or their break period for the holidays, they're going to mostly be there. If you are a person that has season tickets, that has club seat, that whatever seat setup you've got, and you're not going to sell them, first of all, I don't know why you're not. If you're not going to sell them, give them up to people. Like, just
Yeah.
do it. I mean, I'll take them. But not just a little selfish plug here. It's going to be hard to get in this year. And a lot of us are going to have to learn and get used to being able to enjoy basketball from the TV in a time where you want to be in there. Because I can tell you from firsthand experience, I believe I'm going to try not to mispronounce the name, the Gesh family, that offered up an extra ticket for me outside the gates to get in to Auburn, Kentucky. I showed up to cover what was known as Pearlville at that time, that night for the students,
Right.
and they found out I was there and offered me a ticket. And getting to be in that atmosphere was one of the best sports experiences I've ever had in my life. So if you got tickets, go. If you're not going to go, sell them, please, for your own benefit. But if you're not, give them up to somebody so they can be in there to be part of this part of the Auburn experience, because it is incredible right now. I'm so
Yeah.
excited for the season.
Yeah. It's been an issue for a few years when we see the area behind the benches and the areas in the orange sheets with empty seats, and it's just I don't know how one that you're not making sure you're at these games with the type of talent that's there and the coaching staff that's there, um, and then given everything else in the athletic department at the moment, I don't know why you're not making that a point of emphasis to be there. But if you're not, put them to good use. And it just Neville Arena has become such a massive, massive point for this Auburn basketball team, and a home court advantage that is just out of this world. That home court advantage can go away, if empty seats are common. And so
Mhm.
I hope that it's the case that people make sure to be there. One, if they have the seats and cheer loud, but if not, to put them to good use. And so it's going to be a blast. It is going to
I'm
be
so
so
excited.
fun. The Nev is going to be rocking, and it'll be a good one. Kyle,
Thank you for calling it
I
the
was about
Nev.
to say thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're
Thank you
welcome.
for getting it right. I am going to
Right.
make it determined. I'm determined this year to force everyone to call it the Nev, because people never win there.
Oh my gosh.
I know that was pretty bad, but there's some kind of turn of phrase you can do with that that works. The Nev just sounds good. I know people love the Auburn Arena naming. It just felt Auburn.
It
Because
did, yeah.
but this is going to be great. Long ago, it was Cliff Hair Stadium, not Jordan Hair, and now we could never see it the same way. The Nev will be with us forever I guess for the foreseeable future, and we better get used to it. So better start calling it the Nev.
We're gonna add to your titles of all your other captaincy, the Nev Auburn Twitter
Yes,
Civil War faction. That's Kyle.
God, I gotta manage a lot these days.
Yeah,
Jeez,
no kidding.
It's not
On
enough
top
to
of
do
this
a podcast
network. Yeah,
Oh gosh, and now I got to do a Civil War with 4 different groups at this point. Oh
yeah.
boy, it's gonna
And
get
you've
tough.
already publicly made enemies with Clint, who has quite a following.
Well, that's fine. Clint's been my enemy since day one. Love you, Clint. Love you, Clint. Anyway, before I get myself into further trouble, that's going to do it for the Auburn Experience show tonight. We appreciate you all tuning in tonight, letting us ramble on about anything and everything with the Auburn Experience, sports related or not, because here we're all about the sports, the family, the culture of being part of this Auburn Experience. On the way out, if you want to find me on social media at Kyle Loomis 24 on Twitter, where can they find you, Austin?
Austin G. Scott on just about anything. War Eagle, everybody, and we're looking forward to episode 11.
Thank you guys for listening to episode 10. Until we talk to you next time, War Eagle. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here for the show. We're going to stick around for just a few more minutes. Austin has agreed to stay around with us for just a little bit while longer. He can go whenever he needs to. But if you've got comments or questions about things that we talked about in the show, please do post them now. But it can be about anything. I know there were some things people wanting to talk about the AD stuff, and we can do a little bit of that if you'd like. There's just not really anything, substantial to talk about with that other than sources say.
So. Devin did ask, and I don't know. I was trying to find it when I saw her question. I don't know if the game's gonna be on TV Wednesday. Do you?
It's usually exhibitions are not.
That's what I was thinking.
In fact, I hope this won't overload my computer, but let me pull up the calendar while we're here.
It might be a radio night, Devin, and that is not a bad
radio.
thing.
It should be, but I could be wrong on that too.
Radio night would be good.
Let's see. We've got streaming audio. So it is listed as having streaming audio. So that usually tells you that is not going to be on TV. That is going to be just a radio only situation. But that gives you a great opportunity to listen to one of the best color commentators of all time, Coach Sonny Smith. I adore that man so much.
Now, look, exhibition games, people work out kinks. Auburn Twitter works out their memes. The team works out the X's and O's. Coach Sonny Smith is not working out anything. He's in full form. He's ready to go. He's got the woohoo's already down.
He's ready to get on those refs. I mean,
he's ready. He's ready. It doesn't matter. He's going to be ready. So I encourage everybody. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to have that on the radio.
I don't think Coach Sonny Smith would ever see this because I don't know how much he frequents podcasts, but he was on the Auburn Roots podcast. I mean, it was one of the most amazing interviews that I've ever been able to do. Just such a sweet man with such a brilliant basketball mind and just an honest person too, like to probably a fault. I can't even remember what it was, but there was one thing that he was talking about during our interview. And I was like, can you say this right now? Like, is this, it wasn't anything bad, but it was like, that feels like that's something you shouldn't say just to kind of, keep things, unknown. And, he's honest. He is, very genuine, a very sweet man, and just a great basketball coach. I wish I had been, excuse me, I'm all choked up about it. I wish I had been like more cognizant. I was a young child because when did he stop coaching? Do you remember?
Oh gosh.
I'm looking it up right now.
Like Auburn or anybody?
Auburn. I'm looking it up right now.
I think I'm going to say that was before me.
I know I just talked right into the mic. I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm not positive, but I think that was
1989. So I was 2 years old when he left Auburn. He went on to do VCU for the next 9 years. But
Kyle, you were the fact that you were 2 years old in 1989. Sonny Smith was before me. That's all I'm going to say.
So there's no way I could have understood and appreciated Sonny Smith, but he is, you know, just awesome, just an awesome person. Will the meme culture ever filter to other sports? I felt like people tried to do with other sports last year, but it never caught on. Yeah, I don't know that it's going to carry over like that because how do I explain this? There's a certain intensity that comes with football, especially that will never be carried over to other sports. Like people are just too focused on the football game, and let's be honest, there's 87,000 of us, give or take the visiting fans, um, that are in that stadium that can't. It's you never know if the Wi-Fi is going to be great. I know they put the new towers up and they tend to work, but um, I just don't know. Usually there's not enough of a basketball is such a compact and energized 2-hour sport that it kind of fits the culture of that. And I know they do them after it, but it's almost like you've got this intensity for 2 hours and it's done. And then you can just unload. And then that's kind of my interpretation of why it doesn't carry over. I mean, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it was a perfect storm too. Like the success was so obvious and rampant last year with that team, and I think that's kind of how it carried on a thing of its own. Uh, I don't, and you play so many games. I think that's another
That's
part of it too. Like it doesn't have quite the same effect with a football game once a week, and when you have 2 a week, sometimes 3 with basketball. So, as far as, like, volleyball, and I think as much as I hate to say it, I think just the interest isn't quite there as much
yeah,
with
it's the
volleyball and
reality.
base and soft yeah, it's just I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't more of it with baseball, but I think too it was just a thing where baseball started as well during it, and so it wasn't kind of like it would have been a little much.
Yeah.
And I say that knowing what I'm saying. The memes that we would spam other Twitter accounts would have been a little bit much to do for baseball too. But I think it's just perfect storm. It was a basketball thing, and Auburn basketball. The jungle has gotten to be known as this raucous, crazy crowd, so it translated on over online version.
If I'm honest, I'd love to see that carry over to women's basketball. And look,
Mm,
women's basketball has been going through a bit of a valley right now. Not so much to do with Johnny Harris because she just got here. She's only in year 2, but I think that kind of would be a good carryover. But there's got to be a proof of concept for people to get really on board for it. And I think we give her enough time, we'll find that they've already had a good notch under their belt in taking down Tennessee last year. Then that's no feat to do, even without a Pat Summit, who's been, obviously
mm.
long gone, unfortunately, from sports, but in this life. But I would love to see it carry over to that because it's a natural flow. It's basketball, Saturdays and Sundays, kind of thing. It's they play on usually Thursday nights and then Sundays, and then men's plays on either Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So I think it could carry over most easily to women's basketball.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
let's see here. Football carries the brand, but now basketball carries the brand. It's not too far from the truth right now. Well, and,
Yeah.
and I think not possibly, I think part of that or all of that is because of Bruce Pearl. He is such a great ambassador. I would, if I didn't want him to focus on basketball right now, I'd say throw his hat into the name for AD.
Oh, yep. Amen.
He
I
may
wouldn't say
be eyeing that,
I wouldn't
like
say
for the future.
brand. Yeah, no, after yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. I'd be on that train. I wouldn't say they carry the brand of Auburn athletics, just because I don't think that's a big word. That's a big definition, but I think I mean, they definitely carry the I can't even think of another word,
Good
so I'm not even
vibes, the good
the good
vibes
vibes.
for
Yeah, I mean, that's what everyone is excited about and has been for the last, couple of years. So,
Mhm.
and rightfully so. They've had the most success. That's going to happen with
Yep.
anything. But I mean, it's hard for me to say that the as soon as football doesn't get a few wins under his belt or 8 or 9 wins, they're going to be. I mean, and that's the thing. People, is everyone's always going to. Football carries everything financially for so many reasons, but it's just
Mhm.
we're in the South. We're in the SEC where it's a football conference
Yep.
first and
Yep.
foremost.
We'll take a few more questions here. We got a good one here. Jordan asked, "Do you ever see Auburn expanding the arena, the Nev? I guess is what Jordan's referring to here. Do you think the smaller arena is better?" Well, see, that's a very actually good question, but it's a complicated question too. Do I see them expanding? No, because there's nowhere to expand other than, I mean, I've kind of looked at it before. Is there any way to change the seating up in there to add more seats? I think they actually added, correct me if I'm wrong, Austin, but that top where the drink rails are, but there's a section where there is no drink rails. I think they actually added in seats last year, maybe for a specific purpose. But I swear I walked up on these seats. I was like, these are clearly added in this year. Like, this is not, it doesn't match the color. They look newer. You can see the fresh drill bits, like, or, where they
Sure.
were put in, fastened to the floor. Um, in terms of expanding, there's nowhere to expand to. Now you can expand the practice facility, which is what we're doing. And that's part of his contract negotiations, I'm assuming, what got Bruce Pearl to a lifetime contract. The other question, do you think a small arena is better? For me, that's a difficult question too. A smaller arena is not better for the person who is finding it hard to afford tickets to a very popular program right now because people can charge whatever they want to for supply and demand. The other part is it's great for what it creates. There's a reason that my ears are still ringing from that Auburn, Kentucky game last year, because of what it does with the acoustics and things. I miss being in Beard Eves Memorial because of the nostalgia, but it's much better for the basketball team in there. Any thoughts?
Yeah, and it is a difficult question and one that is convoluted because there's answers on both sides. But I think the biggest thing is I don't see them expanding it outside of unless you just can fit more seats, kind of you add rows, but
Yep.
then you lose view. It's ironic because it was built because they couldn't fill up Beard Eves, and the program was kind of lacking in interest. There was kind of a way to revitalize it. Unfortunately, with Tony Barbie, and so it
Oh,
was just a
mm,
way to kind of downsize and create a better environment, which it did. Now, you know, I don't think anyone when Tony Barbie was hired expected in less than 10 years they'd be making a Final Four, and now we're like, well, we need more seats, and so I think but I do think that it works and it's better, and I think you're seeing the trajectory of college basketball move to smaller arenas and build
mhm.
up instead of out because of the sound it can make and the effect it's had. And I think Auburn's a one you can point to of proof of that. Look, I don't know where they are. I just remember seeing renderings, but I know that the school across the state was planning on building a new one, and it was going to be smaller than Coleman Coliseum
Yep.
currently was. So for as long as they've said our arena's so tiny, they're building one smaller and in a very similar fashion. Ole
Yep.
Miss has a massive arena, but the seating of it's the outside of the seating is what makes it big. The
Yep.
seating itself is just a slightly larger Auburn arena or Neville arena. So
Mhm.
um, I don't see. I think a smaller arena is better, and I think more college teams are figuring that out. As far as do I see them expanding it? I don't really know how. I don't know how you do it, but I
I'm
don't. I
not,
don't think
hey,
they're
that
worried
engineering
about that.
department could figure it out. I mean,
Maybe you take the roof off and you just keep going up. I don't
it's
know.
like
I don't
swinging
know.
rafter seats up there,
Yeah.
just,
Hey, we finally got our green monster seats over at Plainsman
oh.
Park, so I'm sure they'll be able to figure something out if they
Real
want
quick, I,
to.
I want
Other
to
than that,
address, keep talking about this for a second, but I gotta say now that you brought that up, it brought a whole new feel being in the baseball stadium on Friday and seeing the overview video again and just picturing it, like being there and looking at the batting facility and out in that right field
yeah.
and then along the right field line or first base line and then out there to the green monster. I'm just like, God, I cannot wait.
Oh, it will
Like,
be so cool.
it's gonna be so cool. One quick note, just in terms of is a smaller arena better? Give you perspective here. The gold standard of college basketball, Duke basketball, Cameron Indoor
Oh, yeah.
is just under 200 seats bigger than Auburn. There's a
And it
reason
will,
that Auburn went down to the size they went because they've seen it work with that model.
and it looks small. Like I've been in there quick story. Me and some friends were passing through North Carolina. We said, let's go to both. Let's just go to Duke, North Carolina. Let's go see each one. We didn't know if we could get into the basketball arenas or not. We go. some graduate assistant coaches are walking out as we're kind of like mulling around. They're like, "Do y'all want to come in?" And we're like, "Yes." So we walk in. They're like, we'll just show you what we can. It's not that big of a deal." Blah blah. So we walk in the court area with the seats, and it's tiny. Like the lights were halfway off, and they were able to turn some of them on, but you would be shocked at like how small it is. And so, and we all know the crowd and environment they've had for so long. And so, yeah, I definitely think that that's a great example of why they've worked, and it's not some new thing like Auburn came up with in 2010, and oh, it just happened to work. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
definitely not something brand new to the college basketball
it
landscape.
is. All right, we'll take this last question and we'll let us get out of here for the night. What do y'all think of Rich McGlynn for AD, or should they hire outside? I know so little about the position. My feelings on this, I don't care who it is, as long as they make, and I've seen this on Twitter a lot today, and I agree with it, Butch and Bruce happy. That, and no disrespect to you, you should know we have a show dedicated to all things Auburn here on this channel, that we love every aspect of every team. But we got to be honest that right now that is the strongest points for us and the most interest and the most lucrative for us. I would say I'd probably throw Jeff Graba in there. Actually, by the way, I got to meet Jeff Graba this weekend.
No way.
Yeah, I got invited to one of their meet and greet / donor events things, and I wasn't a donor, but I got to be a +1 type of situation, and got to talk to him. Got to talk to Morgan Lee. I'm blanking on her name. One of the newer. She was here last year, but she was, I think, transferred in last year. Got to talk to her as well. That was really cool. Anyway, the point is, make them happy, and then just whatever that means, fix football. we're actually
Yeah.
going to talk about this type of subject probably next week when we hopefully have an AD announced. Any thoughts on Rich McGlynn?
Yeah, my biggest thing is I want, you know, the steps in the past few years to get to, and here's the buzzword, alignment, have been slow, but we've getting there. The first one was the new president. We have that in Dr. Chris Roberts. The second one, now that Alan Green has resigned, is him picking his AD that he wants. All of that, and this is what I want people to remember: the president is picked by the board of trustees. That's how universities work. Like, you wonder, well, who hires the president? Well, that's the board of trustees' job. They hired their guy. Sorry, I'm doing it to the side. They hired their guy. Now the president is his job to hire the athletic director over here, and then he hires coaches and oversees the athletic department. All those, and you'll notice in nowhere did I say rich boosters. Like, there's alignment. Now, they're over here like talking, and that's important because we've, as Kyle and I have both said before, I'm sorry, but you can't just get rid of them. If you want Green Monster
Money?
seats, somebody needs to pay for them. If you want the new rafter seats in the Nev that Kyle and I are promoting, you need someone to pay for them. Kyle and I can't pay for them. So,
I can't even
um,
afford to go to hardly one game. I can, but it's going to take a bank account hit for me.
so the most successful thing is all those people in the same mindset and same working together and same common goal. Now I really truly believe that all of them want to see Auburn succeed. They just have different opinions on how that looks. All of those people in alignment is what I want, no matter who's hired. And so I think that the hire needs to be focused on that, as well as one the coaches are excited about and are looking forward to. So, I think Rich McGlynn has been at Auburn a very long time. He knows this place really well. He's done an
Mhm.
incredible job as head over compliance for the last almost 2 decades. I think he would do well. He said this week on Tiger Talk, I believe, that he's having an incredibly fun time being the athletic director. And why shouldn't he? He's worked his entire career in college athletics, whether it's for 2 months or whether it's for the next 15 years. He's the athletic director at an institution like Auburn. Like, good for him for making it to that point. If he is ultimately the choice, I do think Auburn would do well. I don't think that it's necessarily false that if someone else is the choice, they won't do well. I just want everybody to be in agreement and in one way moving forward so that they can be in one way moving forward on football, so they can be in one way moving forward on if we need to renovate Jordan Hare Stadium, or if we can be one way moving forward on how gymnastics is going to keep pulling Olympians in. I don't know. So that's all I want from this AD position, and I just really, really, really hope we're close because it's just
I think
yeah,
it's time. It's time.
it's
More
time.
discussion on that later on down the line. Just addressing this because there's one more. I keep saying there's one more question I do want to address just for the channel. But just real quick with this. So did Alan Green ignore everyone and hire Harsin? Listen, my favorite phrase, and I'm not making Devin, you know me well enough. I'm not making fun of you. Is that's what I'm hearing, or what I'm hearing is everybody is saying that because they're seeing it posted on, to what degree, I'm not saying I disagree or agree that happened, but you can see that it was a very outsider type of hire. It was and Alan Green was too. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but you kind of get different things when there's outsider decision being made. It's the nature of being an outsider. You're changing things up, see what can stick and what can and can't work. And I think a lot of great things happened with Alan. Bruce Pearl is here for a lifetime because of Alan Green.
Right.
Never forget that. If you say, well, he hired Harsin, yeah, but Bruce Pearl's here for a lifetime, folks. So you better be thanking your lucky stars that Alan Green was here. So yeah, it's a convoluted
Yeah,
topic.
and I mean the thing that a lot of people said about the Harsin hire, and a lot of people, it looks like it was outsider hires. There was a different president at the time, and different presidents have different mindsets on certain things. President Jay Goose served a long time at Auburn and gave himself to Auburn for many, many years and in many capacities, or in one capacity, but in many areas. And so, um, his mindset of athletic directors have a job. I'm leaving it to them. I think that's kind of what happened. But
Yep.
the good thing is now is we have a new president and we have a new way of doing things, and we're another step closer, I think, to that
Yep.
unity and alignment we've been talking about.
I agree. All right. Quick question here. And by the way, Devin, don't you ever apologize for asking questions. That's why we
Mm-mm.
love you.
Yep.
Kevlar asks, this is mainly for
Mm.
the channel for me. Can you do a tour of the new football performance center? Kevlar, you don't know how long I've been hoping to plan to do that. Now, here's the issue. Not really an issue. I do get notifications, as most of the media members do, about breaking things and how to cover the helpful information. I'm hoping that there's going to be some type of media preview. Will I get an invite? Who knows? But I have a feeling that won't happen. So maybe one day Austin can pull some strings for me because he lives in Auburn. I don't know. I would love to do some type of tour walkthrough. Trust me, if there's an idea, I'm not saying that I've come up with every idea for this channel, but like I do a lot of thinking about things that I think some of y'all would like. So the answer to that question is I hope something will come of that particular topic in the future, but I cannot guarantee that it will happen.
I would hope that they have a time where, I'm not saying you let the the public run wild in there, but I would hope they have a time where there's an open house per se. Because I mean, we have heard how great this thing is and how people have showed pictures of how great it's gonna be. Um, and it at the end of the day, it's for the football team, but it's a recruiting point. And
It
I
is.
hope the more people you get in there, the more people you have talking about it and posting pictures of it and everything,
Yeah.
or doing video tours of it. So I hope they
I
have
would love
time
to.
to do it. I don't know when it'll be, but I have no doubt, as someone who is just a mere co-host on this fine network, I have no doubt Kyle Loomis will take care of you if he can.
Kevlar, I appreciate that. I don't think you understand that how hard it is to to get invites sometimes to certain things.
You would
But
think they would invite the future athletic director at Auburn for
I
these
mean,
kind
really,
of things,
come on.
but
I mean, do they not know that I'm just waiting for my, negotiations to be done so we can get on with the future of bringing Gus Malzahn back? But
Oh, well, you just
and on
lost
that
your invite.
And on that note, guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us tonight. I really appreciate that. Again, if you're getting here late into the live stream or somehow just popped in here on the replay late, there was in the middle of this a full recording of episode 10. You can listen to it here, but I encourage you to download our podcast on any outlet out there so that you can get the full range of podcasts that we offer between football all the way down to equestrian, track and field, and or I should say up to equestrian, track and field. It's not down, they're just as important, and then things like this as well. So we appreciate you guys being here with us. Check out the links in the description for ways you can support our content. Plan is to do a live show tomorrow to grade out that football game. We will have fun with that one, hopefully with Ben King. But until we talk to you guys again, thank you for being here. Smash that like button on the way out. War Eagle.
Where you go, everybody. Good night.